What's up everybody, this is Age, and this video is going to be covering the Guild Wars 2 Thief World vs. World builds I run. Someone asked that I shared these builds in my previous video, and I decided, you know what, why not? Let's share the love. So first one, I'm going to be showing off two builds that I run. One is a Dagger-pistol build with some variations, and then I'm going to share a staff build that I use when I join Zergs, which is not often, but you know, when I do, I definitely use staff. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to be pulling up a browser that shows off some builds. So before I go into my Dagger-pistol builds, I have to show off where my Dagger-pistol build was basically inspired from, and it's from Turissimo's build. Now, for those who don't know Turissimo, she is a World vs. World Thief player on EU. She's really good. I'll leave a link to our YouTube channel in the description below. But yeah, this is her gear. All her armor is all Valkyrie except for her gloves, which are assassins. Her accessories and weapons are all Berserker. She uses on her dagger pistol air and draining, and on her bow she uses energy and bloodlust. For food she uses hardened sharpening. So I don't know why she doesn't use the %6 and 4, but I guess it's because you could buy it cheaply in World vs. World. And bowl of artichoke soup, so it gives her precision and vitality. So this gives her pretty good stats, especially with the critical damage. 214 critical damage is pretty sweet. Crit chance about 50. Her traits, we're going to explain a little bit why she chose a few things. So deadly arts, pretty standard with improv. Trickery is pretty standard, but she changes bountiful theft for trickster. This gives her reduce on tricks and extra condition removal. We'll talk about this in a little bit. And then she uses havoc mastery, impact disruption, and bounty dodger. We'll also talk about bounty dodger a little bit. So she uses, instead of channel vigor, she uses withdrawal. There are a few reasons for this. So basically she's using bounding dodge. So bounding dodge gives her synergy with black powder for stealth. It also gives her extra damage, but she can't deal with immobilize as well because she's not using dash dodge, so she uses withdrawal. This also gives her extra condition clear, which is pretty nice. Now she also uses standard signal agility, shadow step, Bassy venom. Now she uses bandit's defense instead of blinding powder. The reason for this is that bandit's defense synergizes well with this superior ruined defender that she uses. Now the ruined defender is a healing power type, but when you block a foe's attack you gain 1 second of regen, and then when you use a healing skill you gain Aegis for 5 seconds, which is very nice. But the best part about this is that when you block a foe's attack you heal yourself, and this heal is like a 4 or 5k heal, which is pretty nice for a thief, especially when you don't really have another secondary strong heal like some other professions have. You know, good mitigation, have some secondary heals or blocks while they wait for cooldowns to come up. Thieves doesn't have as much as that, so this ruined defender really helps out, and this is kind of the bread and butter of this thief build. So I kind of took inspiration from this into making my own build. So what happens is that all my gear is pretty much Marauders, except for my trinkets, with the exception of Amulet, which is Berserkers. I use a Ruined Defender, obviously, and I use air and fire in my dagger pistol. I use energy and bloodlust in my bow. And so to make up for the lifesteal, I use Omnonberry Ghost Food or food like it. So on crits, I steal life, and it's pretty nice. And I use power food, power utility. Next up is my traits. So traits pretty much standard deadly arts with improv, standard trickery, and in Daredevil I like to use Brawler's tenacity because I'm using 2 physical skills, impacting disruption obviously, and unhindered combatant. So dash dodge, which is very, very awesome. I feel like it's one of the best dodges because it removes immobilize, which pretty much if you get immobilized you are dead in World vs. World. So the utilities, I use channel vigor, as I said before, because I like to dodge more, and I use bandit's defense. It helps me synergize well with the ruined defender, as we talked about before. And we have shadow step, signal agility, and Bassy venom. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now if you want to run something that's kind of anti-Condi, I still have the same gear setup, but in my traits I will swap either into Trickster and use Withdrawal here, or I will use Escapist Absolution, or I might use both. So it really depends on what's going on, that type of situation. If I do slot for Trickster and Withdrawal, I'll use Havoc Mastery instead of Brawler's Tenacity because it's only one physical skill that I'm using now, and then the rest is pretty much the same. Now for staff, staff build I use is pretty much, the gear is pretty much the same. I switched my back piece into Valkyrie to give me a little bit more health. My staff is Marauder with Air and Fire. Pretty much everything else is relatively the same. If we go into the traits, I like to use Deadly Arts with Executioner. This gives me some extra damage while I'm just like piling on damage, so it's pretty nice. I'd like to be quick my damage and then just get out. Hopefully I try to pop someone or get someone or some people really low. I have been able to do 8 to 10k damage with this type of setup. I think it's Withbound, but well, we'll talk about that. Trickery is pretty much standard, and Daredevil I use Brawler's Tenacity because I'm using Channeled Vigor and Balanced Defense. I use either Escapist Absolution or Staff Master. It really depends on the day, I guess. Escapist Absolution just helps me if I'm, you know, caught inside Zergs, but Staff Master gives me a lot more damage. And then Unhindered Combatant Dash Dodge, it just helps me get back to the Zerg a little bit faster if, you know, I run out of initiative or something like that. Another variation you could run is Bounding Dodger, and you can use this for extra damage. If you do, I would suggest either having your Shadow Step up before you jump in, or have Withdrawal on your bar. But yeah, that's about it. Now, if you want a safer variation of this staff build, you can run, instead of Deadly Arts, Acrobatics. You won't do as much damage, but you are able to reduce the damage you get from pain response. You can also try Instant Reflexes. I've been trying this. Now, it's on a 40-second cooldown, but it's really nice because you could just jump in, do a whole bunch of stuff, and then when you're like at 50% health, you're gonna evade all attacks for 2 seconds. So that's the moment where you know it's like, okay, time to go. So, or you can use Pain Response, up to you. Oopsie daisy, and there we go. So I also use Hard to Catch, Insta Stun Break, pretty nice, and you get full endurance back. And then I use Don't Stop. Now, Don't Stop changes all immobilizing conditions into Cripple, which if you combine with Dash Dodge is really good, but you can also, you know, cleanse it with, you know, Signet or whatever. Trickery is pretty much still the same standard. Daredevil, I use Brawler's Tenacity again. Basically, my rule is if I have 2 physical skills, use Brawler's Tenacity, otherwise use Havoc Mastery. I use Escape's Absolution or Staff Master, depending on the preference, but I will use probably Bounding Dodger a bit more than Dash Dodge, just because, you know, you can pop, you're losing damage from Deadly Arts, so you know you get it here. And that's pretty much the builds I run. And you're probably wondering what this last tab over here I have open. This is going to be for another video. This is basically a build that I'm working on. I'm theory crafting a different type of build thanks to the the patch on the skill balance on May 16th, I believe. So it's something I've been working on for a little while. If you see my streams, you know what it is already. But I will share this probably in another video. I don't know if I'll have more testing done by then, but you know, I might as well just share this, see what you guys think, what changes could be done, things like that. So anyway, guys, those are the builds that I run. Mostly, I don't really run the double dagger Condi build. Probably, I know probably people are going to ask about this, but I don't really run the double dagger Condi build, mostly because you can I just don't fight those builds, and I like the build more in PvP where you have a concentrated area to fight in, so it's a lot better in that respect. So rather than World vs. World where people can just like kite all around you and just wait till you run out of dodges or stuff like that. So anyway, guys, those are my setups. If you want like more details about it, or you have any questions, leave them in the description below, and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. And yeah, if you want to see any thief related videos from me, let me know what you'd like to see. I'll think about it, see if I can do it. And yeah, so this has been Age. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.